Well, it's Thursday, the 9th of July, and it appears as if the stars are aligning today with the weather and the traffic. I hope it's the same for you. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Brief, your perfect morning starter on Channels Television. And I am Bukola Kuka, as always, blessed among men. Hi, Jeffrey. Hi, Kelly.
Good morning, Bukola. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Nigerians, and good morning to all of us who live in Lagos. Who, I don't know, my area is not flooded, so I'm sorry for the people that are still having to battle with this. But I think it has subsided to a very large extent. But let's tell you some of the things we've been tracking, Bukola, and that has to do with Senator Dino Melaye. Remember, he's now a lawyer. He has actually approached the court to seek interpretation by originating summons as to who has the right to collect VAT in state, relying on Section 4 and the second schedule of the Constitution that has to do with concurrent lists, and I think the third schedule that has to do with the second schedule that has to do with the exclusive list, and the third schedule that has to do with some of those concurrency between the state and the federal government. So Senator Dino Melaye has approached the court to say he believes that the state should be collecting value-added tax, which is a consumption tax, and he's approached the court with certain declarative and ancillary relief by the court to seek interpretation of parts of the Constitution. Guys, the point here is this is not the first time this suit has been instituted before, because even a state government like River State had actually approached the court to talk about this issue of VAT. But for the purpose of education, the way VAT is distributed in Nigeria, according to the new Electoral Act, previously it was 50% equality. Equality simply means equality of states, whether it's 200,000 or 2 million, all states are equal, and then population took about 30%, 20% was derivation, where the consumption tax actually came from, is derived from. But now there's a flip. Population, I think, is now 20%, and derivation is 30%, so 70% for just existing as a state. And so the writers of the tax laws wanted to incentivize the state, but that was fought politically, and that's where we are. And if you look at April, Bukola and Kelly, if you look at April, for instance, the distributed VAT, or the FAC allocation that came in terms of revenue, VAT was almost about 30-something%. Out of the 2.25 trillion that was generated, VAT came to over 700 billion naira. And that was now distributed to the state. So Senator Melaye, like some people have argued, is to the effect that the state should be the ones collecting VAT, not the federal government. There has been that back and forth. But whether the state is efficient enough to collect, we do not know. Whether they have the fiscalization technology to be able to collect, we cannot say. But as we speak, the Nigeria Revenue Service is in charge. So Senator Dino Melaye has sued the NRS. Added to that, defendant is the Attorney General of the Federation, as well as the National Assembly. So let's see what the court will have to say, because the River State government went all the way by interlocutory appeal to the Supreme Court, but later withdrew the case. And, well, the law court is open to everyone, guys.
Yes, indeed. Jeffrey, that certainly must be an update to the matter, because what we initially heard was that Senator Dino Melaye had written to the clerk of the National Assembly informing him of his intention to sue the National Assembly to court over this particular matter. And the strength of his argument borders on the fact that the authority for VAT collection does not lie in the exclusive list, but on the residual list, and hence it's vested in the powers of the state governments to collect VAT. And Jeffrey, you are right to backtrack on that particular lawsuit initiated by the River State government, for which a particular judge, I believe Justice Pam or thereabout, ruled in favor of River State to collect VAT. And based on the amendment of the tax laws by the River State Assembly at that time, during the time of Governor Nyesom Wike, yes, absolutely, the current River State governor, and he indeed ordered the River State government to begin VAT collection based on that particular ruling. I'm not quite sure, but I believe that subsequently, following the appeal of that particular judgment, that other states joined in the suit. Whether it was determined at the Court of Appeal, I can't immediately recollect now. But would it be an argument of political expediency for other actors who had vigorously supported the collection of VAT by the state governments to now support that argument now, or to shun the argument. I'm specifically, mentioning the current minister of the FCT at that particular time now, especially based on the tax reforms that came through last year. But it definitely opens up another vista of debate on VAT collection, especially now that the federal government is reporting increased revenue collection from non-oil sources. Well, we got reports yesterday that the National Revenue Service is reporting record revenue collection to the tune of about 21 trillion naira. And that's, Jeffrey, you are the mathematician here, nearly a quarter of the 2026 appropriation law, right?
Yeah, to a large extent.
To a large extent,
I think there are targets being set and numbers are coming in, non-oil revenue coming in and all of that. But our FX earnings still depends on oil. And you were correct. I think Lagos State was joined
in the suit, yes.
So as a day, it was the FIRS that has appealed and asked for a stay at the appellate court. And then at via interlocutory appeal, the River State government took the case to the Supreme Court, where the Lagos State government was joining the suit. Remember the one at the lower court?
Lower court,
but
yeah.
I think this case was later withdrawn.
And so we should be asking River State, under this current administration, are they collecting VAT based on that state assembly amendment to their tax VAT collection rule? And by extension, look into the books of other state governments to find out what exactly is the case. But I believe the tax reforms of 2025 have overtaken that particular event. But definitely, people will be looking into the books now that the National Revenue Service is reporting record collection on VAT.
I wonder if there's some sort of politicking around all of this. I mean, Jeff mentioned the fact that there was a pre-action notice. That was in 2025. And I like the fact that, he doesn't shy away from being in the news, whether it's for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons. I mean, sometimes I've seen videos of shows, musical shows, comedy shows, where he's there at the VIP table, and yet you see the comedians get to make a mockery of him, and yet he enjoys all of that attention. So
he's a man of the people.
Man of the people, some would say. He's had several run-ins with either NASS or the courts, and several other persons. I mean, if you check out ahead of the elections in 2023, he was the one who made some sort of satiric videos. A lot's played out. So I'm just wondering perhaps if there's that political undertone. I was just also trying to read him up a bit, and I saw that he has never been shy of instituting some cases in courts. For instance, in 2020, he had, I'm trying to see if I can pull that out now very quickly, the bill that had to do with the NCDC. Let me see now. Yes, that was Melaye versus NASS on the infectious disease bill in 2020, where he had some concerns as to issues around human rights violations, and all of that. So he's always been in the news. He's always had cause to always want to maybe fight things that he perceives as injustice and all of that. But I'm just wondering if people would, based on his personality, if people would really take him seriously, because based on his personality, people would think that, I mean, it's Dino Melaye, for instance, but that's what some arguments are. The other argument is that in 2025 as well, the FCT, is it IRS, had also filed a suit against Dino Melaye for tax evasion as well. So I'm wondering, for someone who evaded tax, or allegedly evaded tax, because there was a suit as well against him as well for evading tax or tax evasion. I'm not sure how much again now, but so I'm wondering, for someone who was also taken to courts for tax evasion, allegedly, I'm wondering if this is deliberate or trying to just...
Well, all of that may be inconsequential. The case is before the court. The court is before the court, so the court will determine a few things. So when you approach the court, one of the very first things the court will decide is whether you have locus. Whether the court first has jurisdiction to hear that case, and then whether you have a locus and all of that. If you listen to Festus Keyamo, the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, he will tell you that he was one of those responsible that he had to, I think, go to court to ensure that army chiefs come to the National Assembly to be screened and all of that. It never used to happen. So that's to his credit. So the court is open for you to come and challenge to what extent. Because if you look at in the exclusive list, I think item 57 and 58 or 58 and 59, I'm not too sure, you see where the taxes and levies that the federal government is meant to collect. Yeah. That is the premise under which the River State government went to court that. This is what is listed in our constitution. So anything outside here, we are meant to collect. So they debated about value-added tax, personal income tax. You can do your capital gains, you can do your petroleum profit gains, stamp duty, and all of that. So. And I know that when the legislation came up for the tax laws, we've interviewed Tawo Udelo over and over. One of the things that they try to do is to see how they can get the buy-in of the state subnationals to come into this. So, but
the constitutional amendment to move, VAT collection from the residual list was not quite done to ensure it got into the exclusive list. Am I correct?
No, as it stands now, what we operate as tax law is by the Act of the National Assembly.
All right.
So his argument is that the National Assembly doesn't have the right to legislate over VAT specifically.
And that's why, Jeffrey, I agree with you on the point about, the political undertone on this being inconsequential. But at another level, because it then opens up, as I said earlier, a new vista on our debate about our constitutional democracy. And, this is really the job of opposition. Perhaps we should ignore the messenger now and take the message. The messenger could be satirical, it could be melodramatic, but let's take the message and ensure a robust debate, in contributions to the development of our constitutional democracy. It is reminiscent, of the controversy trailing the VAT revenue sharing formula at the commencement of the tax reforms. Now, I wonder if we now missed an opportunity to ensure, we emanated from that particular debate season with, an ideal VAT sharing formula that was now, satisfactory to all parties concerned. But debates like this are very, very welcome. I just hope that other opposition parties will get in on this, because what we are always in the midst of is what Jeffrey calls what's that your language again? Juvenile politics, where we're always in the courts talking about who's supposed to be leading which political party when we have real problems to tackle, and this is one of it. And so I think we should commend the former senator.
That case, Tax Authority versus Dino Melaye, the Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service, suing Melaye at an Abuja magistrate court over an alleged 509 million naira tax evasion. The agency claims he underreported his personal income for several years.
So, that is then. I don't have a problem with him and we're talking about right
the NRS will go after.
So, because it's a tough, so let's be clear, taxation anywhere is always, there's an interplay between politics and taxes, because it's not only Nigerians, people don't like to pay taxes. I don't think anybody anywhere likes to pay taxes. People want to pay as less taxes as possible. Even political parties use it as a campaign promise that, okay, you pay lesser tax, then I will say, we'll pay higher, we'll charge it, so all of that. So at the end, it is the courts that will make a decision, because one of the innovation that people like Tawo Udelo wanted to bring was to incentivize states to not be super dependent on the federal government. So their ratio of sharing literally caused political war, literally messed up this whole tax law. We were all here. We debated it over and over and over again until politics held sway. So as it stands now, for just existing as a state, you are entitled to 70% of however it is shared. So, but if we now say states should start collecting VAT, and if we don't fiscalize properly by derivation, is going to affect a lot of states who just waits for, let the federal government, NRS, collect these taxes, collect all of these things, and then we'll now share based on the formula. So that is where we are as a people. Guys, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of sports. That's because
tonight's game. No, Bukola doesn't really. She really doesn't like sports so much, but I respect the analysis. No, she. By the way, Bukola, the only African team left.
My team has, is out. Ghana.
You're an African.
But you advocate that we support, Africa in this.
Yes, Morocco is there.
Deal. Is that not what you guys call it?
Yes.
And I chose Ghana, but somehow Ghana is out.
Sorry for the heartbreak. So we're hoping tonight the last.
But I love you still, Ghana.
We're hoping that for tonight the last man standing. Please,
representing the continent.
FIFA, please let this thing be fair and clear. So let's get that record back. This is, if you never respected Morocco, I think now you will know that we need to respect Morocco. So guys.
Yeah, I mean, just to add that, what we see with the national team of that Moroccan side is more like a 10-year investment. They didn't start today. They have made huge investments in their sports infrastructure, developing facilities there, trying to also be getting involved with the politicking, and that's why they've had to command the attention of playing host to the continental biggest tournaments in very recent times. For instance, the women, the WAFCON is going to hold there again, back to back this year. So what we are seeing is not something that just happened overnight. And I think this perhaps could be some sort of lessons for our national side, because we always want quick fixes. We want quick wins, but we're not ready to make these kind of investments. So, I mean, Morocco, we're with you. The continent is with you. Some would argue that, sometimes the Arab countries from the north don't get to see themselves as Africans. But some would say they prefer to see themselves as Arabs. But you know what? We are with you. I mean, all the way. We're not happy what happened with Egypt, and please, as we beg FIFA, we were also begging the referee and the VAR.
Yes.
Please, we're begging you.
On behalf of Bukola and all of us, please help. This is our only hope in this tournament. We'll take a break, guys. When we come back, we'll bring you what the dailies are saying. Stay with us.